Port Charles had a way of pretending nothing ever changed. The harbor still shimmered at sunset, Kelly's still smelled like burnt coffee and hope, and the halls of General Hospital still echoed with hurried footsteps and half-whispered secrets. But on this particular morning, the town's fragile sense of normal cracked, quietly, almost politely. It began with a name, not spoken aloud, not announced, just typed. At 6:12 a.m., the admissions computer on the third floor flickered. The night nurse, half asleep and halfway through a powdered donut, barely noticed the system lag. When it refreshed, a new patient entry appeared, tagged for a routine consult. No alarms, no red flags, just a name that should not exist. Elias Rowan. Declared dead 12 years ago, body recovered, death certificate signed, memorial service held under a gray sky that promised closure and never delivered it. The nurse frowned, certain it was a glitch. Port Charles had plenty of those. She corrected a misspelled medication, printed a chart, and moved on, never realizing she had just reopened a grave. By mid-morning, the name had traveled. A junior doctor paused a beat too long while reviewing charts. A lab tech felt a prickle of déjà vu. In the records office, an old file, yellowed, thick, and long untouched, was automatically pulled from storage with a mechanical whine that sounded suspiciously like a warning. And then there was Laura. She didn't know why she stopped walking. One second, she was moving briskly through the lobby, mind on meetings and municipal headaches, and the next she was frozen, staring at a name reflected backward in the glass of the reception desk. Rowan. Her breath caught. Elias Rowan had been a footnote in the town's darkest chapter, a man tangled in secrets, whispered alliances, and a scandal that had torn families apart before ending in a supposed accident off the cliffs. Supposed. Laura told herself it meant nothing. Port Charles recycled names like it recycled scandals, but her hand trembled as she reached for her phone. Across town, at Kelly's, the return landed harder. An older man at the counter dropped his mug when he overheard it, two interns talking too loudly about a patient consult. Coffee shattered. Silence followed. Everyone remembered Elias Rowan differently. A charming liar, a devoted brother, a dangerous opportunist. The kind of man who could save you or ruin you with the same smile. The door chimed, conversation resumed. No one noticed the woman in the corner booth who hadn't touched her food in 20 minutes. Mara Rowan had buried her brother twice, once in the ground, once in her heart. Hearing his name again felt like a hand closing around her spine. She paid her bill without eating, walked out into the sunlight, and whispered, "No," to no one at all. Back at the hospital, the man himself lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Elias Rowan, older now, leaner, with scars he didn't bother hiding, had chosen anonymity carefully. He'd checked in under his real name not out of carelessness, but necessity. Certain doors only opened for ghosts. He listened to the rhythm of the hospital, carts rolling, voices rising and falling, the distant beep of monitors. This place remembered him even if it didn't know it yet. General Hospital always remembered its dead. A young nurse finally entered, cheerful and unaware. She scanned his bracelet, hesitated, and smiled. "We'll have a specialist in shortly, Mr. Rowan." Mr. Rowan. The words settled over him like a dare. News didn't explode in Port Charles, it seeped. By late afternoon, phones buzzed with cryptic texts. By evening, people were pretending not to know, while knowing very well. Old wounds throbbed, old alliances shifted in their sleep. Someone pulled out an old photograph, someone else burned a letter they'd sworn never to read again. And someone who had loved Elias Rowan enough to hate him, stood outside his hospital room, hand raised, unable to knock. Inside, Elias closed his eyes. Coming back had never been about forgiveness, or redemption, or even survival. It was about the truth. Port Charles had buried a lie with him 12 years ago, neat and convenient. But lies rot, they leak, they poison everything around them. He was here to dig it up. As night fell, the lights of General Hospital glowed against the dark, a beacon of healing and heartbreak. The town slept restlessly, unaware that by morning the return of a dead name would fracture families, expose betrayals, and force Port Charles to face a past it had never truly escaped. One name, one ghost, and nothing would ever be quiet again.